This short video is the second installment on radical Islam. It's about Aymen alZawahiri and Osama Bin Laden, the founders of al-Qaeda. Why is this a separate chapter? Because they transform the message of Sayyid Qutb, and they add a new layer of radicalism. The first layer, Qutb's layer, as we said, was about transferring Islam from a quietist religion to one of revolution and jihad. Bin Laden is going to add a new analysis, which is that in order to destroy the horrible secular leaders of the Middle East, we have to destroy the far enemy first. And what he meant by the far enemy is the United States, the great imperialist power, which he believed was the puppeteer who had put into place the various rulers of the Middle East, was maintaining the presiding order in the Middle East, such as the regime in Egypt, people like Sadat and Mubarak, as well as the Saudi kingdom in Saudi Arabia, and that it was pointless for the Muslim Brotherhood to try to overthrow these regimes because they would fail. They would fail because these regimes are getting their arms from America, they're getting CIA help and intelligence from the United States, and they're being reinforced by the US through money and military help. So that in order to overturn the regimes, it was first necessary to destroy the United States. One of Sayyid Qutb's most devoted followers was Aymen alZawahiri, an Egyptian doctor from a good family who later participated in the plot to kill President Sadat in 1981. He is today the head of al-Qaeda and is in hiding in Afghanistan or Pakistan. It should be said that the Muslim Brotherhood split following the death of Sayyid Qutb. The main body of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt turned away from Qutb's radicalism in later decades and renounced violence in favor of da'wah, or what is called prayer. In English, we could say, just as we use the word crusade, and churches still use the word crusade, but they mean a crusade of bringing God's word to people through education, through preaching, through ministry. And that's what da'wah means, is bringing God's word to people. So most of the Muslim Brotherhood believes the way you're going to reintroduce spiritualism and to make the world more virtuous and to turn people into true believers is through this kind of ministry, a peaceful ministry and education. But not all followers continue with the main body of the Muslim Brotherhood. For example, today, the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt is Mohammed Morsi. He came to power and was elected president of Egypt in 2013 after the Arab Spring. 1 year later, however, following massive demonstrations, Morsi was overthrown by the military in Egypt, and Sisi, President Sisi, has come to power. He's disbanded the Brotherhood, he's killed many of them, and he condemned others to death in absentia. Islamism today, whether in its peaceful and nonviolent forms or those more radical manifestations, is ascendant in the Middle East. This brings us to Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden was born to the family of a billionaire, Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden, in Saudi Arabia. His father was a Yemeni and his mother Syrian and an Alawite. He studied at a university in Saudi Arabia until 1979, when he left for Afghanistan in order to join the Mujahideen there and fight against the godless Soviet Union. It should be remembered that the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, was invited in by the communist-leaning government of Afghanistan at the time. And the United States wanted to drive them out. The Saudis teamed up with the United States, and each country put in 50% of the costs to build up an Islamic army of mujahideen. These are holy fighters, jihad. Mujahideen are the people who fight jihad. in order to destroy communism in Afghanistan. And the United States went along with this because they believed that they could use Islam to bring down a godless communist government. Bin Laden helped to fund the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. He helped funnel arms, money, and fighters from the Arab world into Afghanistan. And he gained popularity amongst the Arabs. In 1988, he formed al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda in Arabic just means the base. So he built a big training camp, and he began to train these Arab Mujahideen fighters that were being funneled in from various places in the Arab world. This is where he came up with the idea of the far enemy, he and Zawahiri. He met Aymen alZawahiri while he was in Afghanistan. Now, Aymen alZawahiri had been kicked out of Egypt after being let out of jail. So, in a sense, these two radical Islamists meet in this faraway land, Afghanistan. They've both failed to overturn the governments of their own land, which is their primary objective. And they sit around thinking, how can we bring down these dictators? And this is where they come up with the far enemy. They say, look, we have taken on the Soviet Union and we've beaten them. What we need to do is take on the United States. And that's where they begin thinking about attacking the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. They believed that they could shake the Western world, which they saw was already on decline. They believed it was in moral and economic decline, and that they could hasten this decline by blowing up these symbols of capitalism. So Bin Laden and Zarqawi are important innovators. They're innovators because they have established al-Qaeda, this military base in Afghanistan, which is training Arab fighters. They have successfully, or at least in their minds, successfully brought down the Soviet Union. And they've come up with this new program that in order to change the Middle East and to bring revolution to the Middle East, they have to first destroy America, the great puppeteer that is solidifying and holding up these horrible Arab dictatorial regimes that they believe are so un-Islamic and spreading torture and debauchery in the lands of Islam.